This is Chris Ripley with the Strategic Marketing Group, and we're here to talk about Google Plus and Google Places and the changes that are taking place there. And I'm glad to be here. This was kind of what I put in the email on Wednesday, an emergency, uh, webinar to really tell you about the changes that Google is making. And it's kind of probably one of those situations where maybe it's not an emergency, but they hit the tipping point in terms of using Google Plus and integrating Google Plus into search to the point where really, if you want to be on top of Google, you're going to have to be on Google Plus. So I thought that I would talk about that. And there was, one step, and you saw in that video the step that took place this past week. And, very honestly, I'm loaded with browser windows. I've got lots of browser windows open so I can show you different things and hope everything will work out okay. Trying to do a presentation live online is always risky because you never know what may change, what may go wrong, whatever it might be. Excuse me. So understand that I've tried to bring up as many windows as possible. We'll look at the windows and we'll go from there. So without talking about it too much more, let me just set it up a little bit anyway. Wednesday, I got about 4 or 5 emails from Google's YouTube channel telling me about new videos that had been posted. And that was the first news that I had that Google had made this big change. And if you remember at the beginning of the video, they slide down the side, and here we are on Google Plus. And let me, make sure this would be. Let me start from the beginning here in terms of Google and your relationship with it. This is the screen that's certainly changed a lot in the last few years, but we all remember when it was pretty much just the Google there and we'd search back in the early part of the 21st century. Well, Google is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and there are more things going on that require your use of Google with your business if you have an online presence and you get any of your business online. So that would be one thing that's important with this presentation, is understand that you really need to have your business online for this to be important. But that's almost everybody. There are very few businesses that don't need to have some sort of online presence. And what I'm finding is the businesses that are growing and experiencing growth, I was just talking about it with a client today, but the businesses that are growing are the ones that have a strong online presence. And, if you think back when things were gangbusters back in 2005, 2006, you didn't need to have an online presence. People weren't going to Google to look for things. Today in 2012, when you're looking for something, you're going on Google to find it. And of course, we're getting the phone ringing, even though I shut it off. I guess I didn't do a good enough job of shutting it off, but anyway. So if you're not, in 2012, if you're not getting found when people go to search, I have a client, but if I'm going to search, home furnishings, and here we go, they come right up on top here, Raley's Home Furnishings. And certainly I thought about this before, and I'm going to show you guys. But, these are the important things to consider, that people are going there to start their search, and you want to be on top. And there's a couple of ways that you can do that. And certainly getting on Google Plus and using that is just another way to do it. So, here we are, and this is the typical Google search. And what's happened now, Google wants to put Google Plus right out in the front, and they're going to make it happen no matter what. They're going to push it and get people on Google Plus as a social network. And I maybe neglected in not defining Google Plus, but Google Plus, lots of people could say, is Google's response to Facebook. They had Google Wave before. They had tried a few things. Lots of people like Google Plus. I read a book by Guy Kawasaki, who was an early evangelist for Apple Computer, about why he really loves Google Plus, and it turned me on to lots of things as well. And if you're interested, you can get the book. It's a Kindle book, whatever it might be. But Guy Kawasaki is the author, and so now we have, where we used to just have Google in the middle here. Now we have all these tabs up at the top, and Google, frets long and hard about what they want to put up at the top. In the last couple of months, really, we've seen YouTube show up on here. We see, documents, Google Docs and Google Drive is showing up on here. Google Play, everybody's decided to call today, amazingly. We see Google Play showing up at the top, which is where people go to buy Android apps and that type of thing. Google Maps, and when we talk about Google Places, Google Maps and Google Places are very much related. We see image search and the regular search. This is what you click to get what the old days used to be. They used to call that web. That was what it was, as we've seen this evolve, the calendar, and then you got the more tab that brings up that, and then you've got even more, and there's a million things here that Google does. And what we're going to talk about today is just one of them. But as we can see, as being an English-speaking country and reading from the left to the right, arrow with the plus is right over here, Google Plus. And that's really, this is a client account, Arrow American Pest Control, that I'm using. And when we set it up, we just made the name Arrow Pest. And now that this is more important, we might think about it. But we're not going to use the personal account that we've set up here anyway. But if I click on this button, it's just going to take me to the Google Plus page for what would be the person Arrow Pest. This could be Chris Ripley, could be whatever you want it to be. And I'm not here to teach you about all the different features of Google Plus. What I really want to talk about, and if you remember right at the beginning of the video, they go right down the side in the different tools. This is a little bit like Facebook. And what we're talking about today, and this is what Google added on Wednesday, this is what all the hoopla is about, is this local tab. And when I click on it, basically what it does is it takes me to a list of local establishments that are on Google, that have Google Places pages, and that also, some of them, without even knowing, also have this Google Plus page. Because if you remember 2-3 years ago, I guess it was, when Google created Google Places, they gave businesses 45 million websites. And that's really, just, this is a kind of continuation on it. And, for years I've been telling people, claim your Google Places page. It's basically Google's internet yellow pages. And I've been doing it for free for many people. And, we've seen what, I don't have it right here, but we've seen the Google Places page, and I don't want to get off track here, but anyway, so what Google has done now is, when, and Google, we know where you are, if you're on your computer, they know where you are. And if you're on your cell phone, generally they know where you are as well, because of the GPS element of your cell phone. You can shut that off if you're really worried about it, but then these features won't work either, and most folks aren't. But you have this local button, which you click, and it features different categories of merchandise, which they seem to be pretty static. And I haven't read a lot about, they don't talk a lot about like how this business gets picked up here. I've seen 3 different businesses up there in the last 3 days. Obo Pizza was up there recently. This is a well-known pizza shop in Charles County. You can see, the other big tie-in is that now it's tied in with Zagat. And, that's another video that Google has put up. And, last year Google bought Zagat, and now they're using Google, the reviews in their Google Places. So you'll see a lot of restaurants, Sports Authority, they've been showing up every time when I click on it. We've got, let's go. We've got Chipotle here, and you can look over here and you can see where they show up on the map, and you can zoom in a little bit if you want. And play with the map, but if I were, here, if I were a Google Plus user and I were here vacationing or just playing on Google Plus, and, just as we do on Facebook, doing that on Google Plus as well, and you got hungry, and, as kind of the video goes, you'd come down and you'd click. We've got Chipotle, Taco Bell, Chili's, certainly, a Mexican kind of flavor here. We've got Laredo's, Chevy's. So what happened? It must have clicked somewhere. Yeah. So here we go. Chipotle, Sakura, different categories. I guess for some reason I must have tapped my trackpad and it caused it to move. But you can see the ratings. It's on a 1 to 30 scale, 25 out of 30 being good to excellent. You can scroll through here. This is really cool, and this has been showing up, and I'm glad that it is. And this is, certainly one of those cases where you see the fruits of your labor. But Raley's is one of my clients, and they're showing up here in furniture stores, and I can view all the furniture stores. But the work that we've done, Raley's has got a location in Waldorf, and the work that we've done makes them such that they're showing up right on the top here. And what I'll do is I'll actually click on the page, and I've got good. Fortunately, these are all working, and I'm not having to go to the backups here. But you can see, we've got some pictures up at the top. They pick up the picture. One of the things that you might have noticed back here is not everybody has a picture. And, Walmart, I don't know, that's kind of an odd picture there. Tri-County Hearth, I know that they've claimed their Google Places page, and they've got their logo in there. Country Furniture, they've got some, photos in there. But you see a lot that you don't. And, our photos aren't the only part that's important in getting you up to the top by any means. But what you'll want to do, and the point of doing all this is that you've got to make sure, one, that you claim your Google Places page, and two, that you do things on your Google Places page on Google Plus to get more reviews. One of the things that people can do is write reviews, and one of the things we're going to have to learn now, and I just, it's funny, as we're going here, I'm remembering, but you want to direct people to your Google Plus page like this so they can write reviews on your business. So that's going to be very important, because the reviews are becoming more and more important as to how you get ranked. And when you go here and you look at the different places, come on. See, this is, I guess, here we go. We looked at this here. We have Obo Pizza popping up at the top, and they're also talking about the scoring system now. So as a business, you're going to want to try to get as many reviews as you possibly can, and you want to get your score as good as you can as well. Generally, what I see with businesses on reviews is that they don't pay that much attention to it, and generally people will write reviews if they have a tough time. You may have, 98% of the people having great experiences, but that 2%, they may, some of them may be internet savvy, and they go online and they write a pure review about your business, and, you're very disappointed. And you wonder, what you can do. Well, the thing to do is to just ask your good customers, the people that are happy, to go online and write a review for you. So, this is the opportunity for you to send them to your Google Plus Places page for your business, and you can do it right up at the top with the URL, Obo Pizza. If I were the owner of Obo Pizza, I could go up here. You could use a URL shortener, and Google has their own URL shortener, and you just go to here we go. And it takes you right there. You drop your URL in, you click shorten URL, and there's the one that you can email to people and say, visit our page, write a review, let people know what a great experience that you had. I've had clients before give people incentives. It's okay to do if you want to get them to do it, because sometimes this can be a hard thing to do, but it's very, very important in this whole process. So not only are we talking about Google Places and claiming your page, but we're talking about proactively using it to get you ranked high in the furniture store listings or whatever it might be. You want to be the first one in there when people are looking. If let's say you get a pipe that burst and you're looking for plumbers, you'd click here, and Paul Genevieve, he does a great job with this, and he's right up at the top. So people might be looking for him as well. And part of the work here, somebody might say, Google Plus, it hasn't caught on that much, and I don't use it, and I don't know anybody else who uses it. But the point is really that Google is using this information when people search for things as well. So they're going to rank the pages here in Google Plus, the business pages in Google Plus that are more complete and have pictures and have videos, and the people have put in the hours that they're in operation and doing those things. They're going to rank those higher all the time. It's going to work out that way. So you can see here though that Paul still needs to put a picture on here, and he can do that by creating his own Google account. And when he creates the Google account, he's going to have a Google Plus account. And then he can just go to his business and claim the page. And Google will ask you, either they'll send you a phone call that'll give you a code and you'll claim it that way, just like you used to do before, or they'll send you a postcard in the mail. And generally I see with clients, in a week or less, they'll have the card and they'll be able to start editing their Google Places page with Google Plus and get ranked, up higher than they are. The things that you want to do in terms of getting ranked higher, you want to get reviews, you want to post pictures, you want to have people comment on your page if possible. It's another great thing for you to do. Post videos. If you put up a video on YouTube, and I talk about this, and I'm talking about a Google Plus business page webinar and doing it in an emergency, and the first thing you should be doing, and this is deviating a little bit, I'm not going to this tab, but the first thing excuse me, that you should be doing is having your own YouTube channel. And this is Arrow American Pest Control's YouTube channel. This is a separate video, but doing this and then labeling the videos correctly and doing some things along those lines is going to help you even more get found on Google. And as a general statement here as well, I'd like to make that if you do these things well, you don't have to do lots of tricky things. If you've got reviews, if you keep your Google Places page up, if every month you put up a YouTube video, maybe one month it's, as we did here, this was something new, but we did a couple of testimonials. And, I just went out to the business who was doing the testimonials. It took me about half an hour or so. We recorded about 3 or 4 minutes of testimonials. We made 2 videos out of it. And that's only going to help Arrow American Pest Control get found on Google. Plus, when people see those videos, they're going to realize that this is great, that there's a person who is really happy with the service, and I know who she is, or I know that business that she works for because we recorded it at her business, and that's going to help them a little bit as well. But it's also the element to getting found on Google. So, to wrap things up directly on the Google Plus local page, Places page for your business, I can't emphasize enough the need to go out and claim your page and update it as quickly as possible to help your business get found online. There's no other way around it. I think you have to get on it. And as I said, what you have to do is you have to create a Google account, and let me take you through this real quickly here. And I think I'm probably signed in. Yeah, I had to do this. You're going to want to, You can search Google account. Whoops. Google account, and here, right up at the top, it's going to be create a Google account. It's not going to like that I'm doing it, but you'll just, you don't have to have your a Google email address. You can use your own email address here. And then once you create that account, Google does everything else. They're making it real easy for you. And you're going to come to basically this kind of setup where you'll have your information over here and you'll have access to all this stuff. And you'll click on your plus over on the side, and your plus is going to be all set up. And then you can just go down to the local here and then search for your business. Let's Country Florist, their business here in Waldorf, and here's their page, and then you'll just go down, and once you're in there, I can't do this on this one because it's not my page, but you can claim the page and do whatever you need to do to get it going, and then here I could write a review. But it's that simple. And if anybody has any problems with it, please give me a call. I don't mind helping you through it. My number is 301 638 4755. 301 638 4755. And call me. I'm going to put that on the screen as well. Other things that I'd like to tip you off to. This is Google's official blog, and this is the post that came out on Wednesday at 9:22 in the morning, where they're rolling out Google Plus Local, a simple way to discover and share information featuring Zagat scores and recommendations from people you trust on Google Plus. So this is where they announced it. They go through how it's all going to work. You can go to googleblog.blogspot.com and read this all for yourself. Gives you a little bit more information here. How it's going to look on Android phone. Talks a little bit about the Zagat acquisition, how the reviews work, that sort of thing. So the Zagat 30-point scale, and what the pages are going to look like. You can continue to manage your local, at Google Places for Business. So some of that info you'll still be managing there. But the other, get more information at Google and your business blog. And here's Google and your business blog. And this is another blog that you might want to set up an RSS feed, Google and your business.blogspot.com. And here we have, again, talking about the rollout of Google Places, Google Plus kind of merge, with the Google Plus page for your business. And this is much like Facebook. And very honestly, Facebook has a similar feature that's just appearing a little bit in terms of local search and all. And I just wanted to hit on this. I had pulled this page up, but if I'm here, on my Facebook page, and I start searching Waldorf, Maryland, and I go down here and there's a place, and I just click on it, and then it's going to bring up some businesses, and it's going to bring up businesses that have Facebook page. And here's your list, and I think it's pretty cool. Strategic Marketing Group, my company, down here at the bottom. We've got some others in here, and we've got the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs, and there's 20 that are featured on here. But you would want to be featured. There's Country Florist, and we're at the bottom of the other page, top of this page. And you can see some of the other businesses that have decent Facebook presence in the area. So this is a little similar, but you've got to search for it, versus where you look at Google, and what they've done is they've put it right here, built it into their social network, versus in Facebook, you really, whoops, wrong one. Now it's going to play again. Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. So, here I am just on my news feed. You can actually vote for a dog in a contest here. But I'll just go up here and search for Waldorf, and the places shows up. And this is what Facebook has put in here, and here's, if you click more, you'll see more info, tells a little bit about it, that sort of thing. So this local element of your business is just very important, and I can't emphasize it enough. I keep saying that, and I should stop. The other thing that I wanted to show people was just a little bit on local search, and there's really two ways that you can get to the top of local search, and there are different approaches. And this ties in with Google and being in bed with Google, that sort of thing. If you have a business now, you almost have to be. Yahoo, Google is 70, 80, 85% when I look at, site stats from local businesses. So that tells me really what's happening around here. I see 70 to 85% of the searches coming from Google. And this is a client, Rayleigh's I mentioned is one of my clients. We're using Google AdWords right here. And you can see here's Google, here's Rayleigh's. They're showing up second. We're focusing Google AdWords in a relatively narrow geographic area. We're paying, in a couple of hundred, $300 a month, and we're getting decent traffic to the website, and web business is dramatically increasing. So that's really working for them. The work that we've been doing has also made it so that when you search home furnishings in Waldorf, Maryland, we're showing up at the top, and you can see we're showing up in both. And this is a little bit of a problem, and I wanted to point this out. We can probably, on some keywords, stop using the paid search anymore because we're showing up at the top, and it's not worth it. I'd much rather people click down here versus click up here. So that's an important thing to remember. So this, on this page, you can see actually Rayleigh's showing up in a paid ad, and then also showing up in an organic search ad. Basically, Google, using all of its algorithms, feels that the best site to represent home furnishings in Waldorf, Maryland is Rayleigh's Home Furnishings. And that's because we've claimed our Google Places page, and we have videos up, and we've taken, this is the address to Rayleigh's. We copy the address and the website address onto the description of our YouTube videos. This is an integrated campaign. So when I say that we're not doing any trickery here, we're just using YouTube and Google Plus and Facebook and Twitter to a certain degree and the website to work all together to make sure that we get found near the top when people search for the things that they may be looking for locally. And the number is about 60% of people are using online to search. And then if you figure they're using, 60% are using it, Google's getting 80% of it. That means, 48, 50% of all of the searches are being done through Google. So this is where you want to start. I just wanted to hit on a couple of things. This is an infogram, people have put things together. 20 reasons to switch to Google Plus. And I'm not going to go through all of them. I just want to hit on a couple. Integration with Google services. Everything's working together on Google. And I think it's something important that you have to understand. Okay. Google is really keyed into mobile as well. So that's important. And I think that you want to make sure that you're keyed into mobile with your business. So just a couple more down here. Yeah, the photo gallery. It seemed like there was one more, but those first two up at the top were definitely ones you can go through. The better game implementation, better ads. We could talk about Google AdWords. Certainly that's true. And, what I've seen, we just saw recently where General Motors backed out of Facebook advertising. And what I'm seeing, very honestly, you can do a great job targeting who you think your target market is on Facebook ads. But unless you have the right offer, and I'm not sure, you see lots of different strategies about the right offer, and people talk about making sure you have the right picture and that sort of thing. I haven't seen the greatest results on Facebook advertising. And then, was there another one of these I was going to show? Looks like it's gone. Oh yeah, here we go. The difference, Google and Facebook. Yeah, Facebook versus Google. I thought this was kind of interesting to just put out there. Facebook last year $1 billion in revenues. Google almost 38 billion in revenue, 38 times. So market value and the 104 billion there of Facebook, I think it's probably settling in the 80s right now, and Google, 200 billion, double. Total employees, 3,500. You always hear about the 3,500 Facebook employees, and Google over 32,000 employees. Number of companies acquired, I don't know if that's that critical, but Facebook 26, Google 110. So just a little bit of the difference between Facebook and Google. And Google is the place to be first, without question on that. So I'm gonna wrap it up here. I hope that I've covered as much as I can to emphasize the point about getting your business a Google account and getting on Google Plus. If you have any questions, if you have anything that you'd like, I think I'm actually going to unmute everybody here. And if there are any questions, please. Oh, we're getting some feedback here. Any questions from anybody? Did I do a good job of explaining it, or you just kind of overwhelmed? Like I said while I was going through, if you have any questions, please don't be afraid to give me a call at 301 638 4755. 301 638 4755. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day.